Yo, welcome back to my channel. I am Justin Colby, and on this channel, we talk all things real estate, business, and entrepreneurship. And on this video, we're gonna talk to you about a dumpster fire of a house that I bought as a rental in Oklahoma City. By the way, this is the second time I've done it. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? I am Justin Colby. Welcome back to my channel. And on this episode, we're talking about the second dumpster fire of a house that I bought as a rental for my own portfolio. By the way, I did it all virtually. If you guys have any interest in understanding how I've built my virtual real estate business, both in the wholesale and rental portfolio game, make sure you go to The Science of Flipping, fill out the form. I or my team will have a conversation with you about how I could potentially help you get to that next level. Now let's get into it. All right, so this is the second home I bought completely virtual for my own rental portfolio. Again, most of you guys are thinking, Justin, this continues to be crazy because you've never been to the state of Oklahoma, you've never even been to the town of Shawnee, and you've never seen the property. Why are you buying these unbelievable, beautiful homes? Just kidding. As you're about to see, well, in this walkthrough, they're not beautiful. Why do you continue to put your money into these homes? And the answer is great ROI. The BRRRR method, which stands for buy it, rehab it, rent it, refinance, repeat, is simple. You want to make sure you're buying it right so the return from the rents gives you a great return on investment. And that's as simple as it is. In Oklahoma, I can buy properties for $10,000, $20,000 and get a great rental return on a property just like this that is a dumpster fire when I buy it. Now, I'm going to be putting money into this property, so it doesn't just go to what did I pay for the property, how much is it then? Also, I got to calculate how much money I'm going to put into it. So let's talk numbers. For this property, I actually paid $54,000. This property is the highest price point property I have bought yet in Oklahoma. Now, I'm only going to be putting in $29,000 for the rehab budget, which really helps because I'm already paying such a high price for the acquisition. Homes very similar to this, at times we have paid $20,000 or $30,000, but the condition of this home is better than those, and so I was willing to take a flyer on paying more and having a reduced remodel. By the way, if you like real estate investing, if you like buying virtual, if you want to build wealth, like this video and make sure to subscribe to my channel. So here I am, bought it for $54,000, put $29,000 into it. So let's just make the easy numbers of rounding this up to $85,000. That's essentially where I am after some minor closing costs and some other costs attributed to buying this property. Now here's the cool thing. I really urge you to go watch the other videos that I did about the first rental property, because you can see I took another dumpster fire home and turned it into what I would say is the Taj Mahal of Shawnee, Oklahoma. I mean, it is gorgeous. The key that I learned from that is I actually thought I would be renting these properties for $700 per property, maybe $750 if I was lucky. But I took a leap of faith and I asked my partner to list it on the rental market for $850 for this home. I said, we went over budget on the rehab. Let's try to do a little bit better and make a little bit more money monthly. And guess what? We got 55 applicants in 24 hours on that property that typically would rent somewhere around $700 to $750. So now on this property, my learning experience told me I'm going to be able to rent this property, which is bigger, for closer to $900 or maybe even $950 a month. Now remember, I want to make sure that my numbers line up. So I want to be all into a rental property, purchase price and rehab. I want to be all in for roughly 75% of value. I also want to make sure that my rents are close to 1% of total cost. So if I'm into the property for $90,000, so I want to make sure I get 1% of rental cost, meaning, or purchase price, meaning if I actually bought the home and remodeled it for $90,000, at minimum, I want to make sure I make $900 a month. So the numbers there work really, really well. So I'm actually into this property for roughly $85,000. And so I think we're gonna be able to rent this for $900, $950. Now, the numbers in terms of ARV were a little over on the 75% ARV. We're closer to about 80% of ARV, which means we're gonna have some money left into the deal. We have not yet refied out of the project yet, so we're not exactly sure how much is going to be left in, but I can tell you, based around the previous video that I'm telling you to go watch. By the way, do me a favor. If you guys are liking this, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. So what I can tell you though is, based around the mistakes I made from the first rental property and how much over budget we went on the rehab, I know I'm gonna be leaving roughly $15,000 in that property after we refi, which by the way, we have not refied yet. In this property, I'm gonna be under $10,000. So we're making progress here. It's still not perfection, but I'll tell you, if I can buy 2 rental properties every single month and essentially only be into them for $25,000, I'm gonna be buying 2 to 4 rental properties for the rest of my life. It is incredible what I can get in Oklahoma versus Phoenix, Arizona. That being said, there's a lot to continue to learn here. Some of it is construction, some of it is the material cost, and some of it is, now that I have a better understanding of where the rent value is, I have a much more comfort level with where I'm buying it and what type of rehab needs to go into it. All right, so you might be sitting here and watching this and saying, Justin, I'm so happy for you. You're buying these rentals, you're doing it virtually, that's awesome. But Justin, what if I don't necessarily have money to buy these rentals? So let me paint out a business model that you can run. There's several different versions of it, but I would encourage you to really be thinking, how can I buy rentals without needing cash myself? Now, one way you can do that is you can get a private lender. A private lender is someone typically that you know that acts as a lender just like a bank would. You need none of your own capital. They will bring in 100% of the acquisition price as well as 100% of the remodel, and essentially then you go and refi their cash out with the banks. This is completely legal, and as long as you do your paperwork right, everyone is really protected. Now, the next question you might ask yourself is, yeah, well, what happens if, like you, Justin, I actually didn't do the numbers correctly and the bank won't refi out my lender 100% of what he's into it for? Not a problem. What I would encourage you to do there is structure a situation with your lender, your private lender, that any money that is left into the deal starts to accrue interest at an agreed upon rate. So essentially he is still a lender, however he's going to be in second position, and all of the terms and conditions and rates of this agreement are completely negotiable. So I'm not going to tell you what you should say or what you should agree to with this lender. It's completely negotiable, but 4 or 5% I think is plenty, and I would say most private lenders who have that type of capital would be willing to leave in $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 into this deal as long as they were earning 4 or 5%, and likely the agreement should have some structure that you're actually able to pay them off first as rental income comes in. Let me use an example. For the first property we bought, as I mentioned, I'm gonna probably be leaving in roughly $15,000. We went over budget, totally my fault. Learning experience there. This happens, by the way, so if I make mistakes, it's okay if you make mistakes. With that said, learn from them. So now our second property, we're gonna be well under 10 left in the property, etc. And hopefully we start buying properties that no money is left in. But in this case, if I had a private lender that was just simply debt, meaning interest rate, then I would say whatever money remains, the $15,000 that remains in this property, let's structure an agreement where I'm paying you 4% interest and I'm paying you back amortized over the next, call it 3 to 5 years, meaning any money that's left in the account that after paying the mortgage, the interest, the taxes, maintenance, and any property management, any of that leftover money, for us, roughly in that property is gonna be roughly $400, maybe a little bit less, but roughly $400. Any of that money that is left in the account goes towards paying his loan off or her loan off. So that way they have a consistent stream of income themselves. They have a small investment, in this case it would be $15,000 left in the home. They're making 4% on the money, and we agree upon a term that, let's just call it 4 years, for me to pay off that money. The reason why I use 4 here, it's not arbitrary, because $400 a month equals roughly $4,800 a year. So if I were to pay them $4,800 a year, it would take really 3 years, just under 3 years to pay off. I probably would personally stroke a check for the remaining difference. I'm using 4 to give me, the investor, some budgeted time. If tenants turn over and there's months where I'm not collecting rent, etc., I just want to play it safe and conservative rather than like, well, just doing the math, it looks like in 3 years I'll pay you off. Great, buy yourself another year and come to that agreement. Most private investors will feel comfortable with doing that. Why? Well, if they were comfortable enough to give you all of the money to acquire it and all the money to do the rehab, I'm sure they're comfortable enough to leave a couple dollars in there with you and for you to pay them off over time. Now, part 2 of that is, depending upon where you're at and depending upon how these mortgage interest rates go, you potentially could refi out again at the end of the 3 years and pay them off in full if you so wanted, maybe put some more money into your pocket. There are options that can be had. So maybe it's 2 years or maybe it's 3 years, you could do another refi. Now here's a cautionary tale to be aware of. Most of the banks that I'm aware of that are gonna do a cash out refi, like Lima Capital, Lending Home, and others, you could use a normal bank too. They're gonna have like early term fees, meaning early payoffs, meaning if I go do another refi and cash them out, I might be paying 1, 2, 3, or 4 points just to do that. That's really, really, really expensive. Sometimes it's even more exorbitant than that. So be cautious there. If you guys are liking this, guys, do me a favor, smash the like button, turn on the notification, and make sure to subscribe. All right, point number 2 is you could find a financial partner, a true partner. There's no debt, there's no interest rate. They bring the capital, you do the work. The same way you would do it in a flipping type of business, where someone brings all the money and you're doing all the work. You're finding the deal, you're contracting the deal, you're setting up the contractors, you're putting the property management in place, you're finding the tenants, etc. Quite literally every inch of the business you are doing yourself, and you're bringing in a financial partner to be able to finance it. Now, there's not much more than that except for the agreement of what you get and what they get. Now, a lot of people would probably argue, well, this is like a 50-50 split. Well, my point would be, it depends. Are we taking their money out at some point? Is the bank taking their money out? Is the capital gone for some time? How much work are you actively doing? How many are you actually buying? All of this is negotiable. So I'd encourage you to understand really what role is everyone playing. And by the way, to get started, 50-50 is just fine. As the person who is in the real estate section, or I would technically be the real estate partner, I wouldn't do it for less than 50-50 by any stretch. But if I were to give away 50, I would feel okay just to get some foundation going so you could do this more. Because guess what? When you get 10 or 20 or 30 rentals, you're gonna start to have some options, and maybe even financially, that you could start to do this on your own. And yes, maybe the first 10, 20, or 30 are with a partnership, but the remaining 300 that you buy are all by yourself. So I'd encourage you, take a hard look at partnership, because it can be a great way to get you going. All right, guys, this is my second BRRR that I've done virtually. I'm gonna buy 2 to 4 of these a month. I'm gonna continue keeping you up to date on the progress. Again, if you are interested in real estate investing, wholesaling, virtual wholesaling, or building wealth, make sure to go to thescienceofflipping.com, fill out the form. Myself or one of my team members will talk to you to see if I can help coach you to get you to the goals you wanna go to. Talk to you guys soon. Peace.